This is the next video in the Historic Ordnance series. I am going to show another German landmine. This is the DM31 heavy anti-tank mine. Now this is the German version of a mine that's made in Sweden, and in Sweden it is known as the FFV-028. And then behind that designation, when you look at the top at the markings, you can see some of the markings on here. On the Swedish ones, it'll say FFV-028- and then 2 letters. There are 3 variants of this mine. The RU variant is reusable, meaning you can disarm it, put a new battery in it, and then take it right out and reuse it. There is the SD version, which means self-destruct, and this one, after you set it, the mine explodes after a set period of time. And it looks like the set period of time is based on the battery life. When the battery has gone down to a certain point, the mine will detonate with what's left in the battery, having just enough left to cause the cap to go off, the detonator to go off. Now the self-detonating, self-destruct version of the mine has an internal anti-handling device. This is already preloaded in the mine by the factory, and as soon as you activate the mine and it goes active after the set period of time, that anti-handling device activates. And from what I read on it, it said that it's an anti-disturbance, that even if you just nudge the side of the mine is supposed to go off. The final variant is the SN, or self-neutralizing. The self-neutralizing one, similar to the self-destructive one, or self-destruct version, when it reaches the end of the battery life, it neutralizes itself. And the self-neutralizing version is what Germany adopted as the DM31. Now, from what information I could find, Germany adopted the mine around 1985, but did not take receipt of the first mines until 1989. This is really common in German weapons procurement from what I have seen when I've researched this stuff the past couple months here. Now the specifics or the details on the mine, as you can see in the pictures, it has a flat top and the bottom of it is cone shaped. The reason for that is it is a shape charge in the mine. This mine is almost like the US M21 anti-tank mine. It's meant to fire a shape charge up through the bottom of the tank where the armor is at the thinnest to breach it and essentially gut the tank from the bottom up. The width of the mine is 10 1/4 inches. The height is 5.5 inches. Total weight is 17.6 pounds, of which around 11 pounds is the explosive filler, and the explosive filler is composition B. This mine is magnetically influenced. It is also blast resistant, which means if a MICLIC, a mine clearing line charge, is fired in over the top of these mines, they're buried in the ground, that that MICLIC going off, mine clearing line charge, will not set the mines off because it is magnetically influenced, not pressure. These mines can be surface laid, which means just laid on top of the ground. They can be buried, or they can be placed in water, but up to a maximum of 1 meter in depth, according to the instructions that I found. The operating temps for this mine is -31 to a max of 145 degrees Fahrenheit. I got a feeling this temp range is because of the battery that has to go into the mine to activate it. There is no secondary fuse well on this mine. However, There are notes that the mine can be booby-trapped by putting booby-trap devices underneath the mine and setting the mine on top of it. These mines come 90 mines to a large metallic cage. And this picture here shows you the truck with 2 cages on the back, and each one of these cages carries 90 mines. I do not know if that is how it is issued from depot or if they come in individual boxes with a battery with it, and then you remove it from that box and then put it inside the cage before you do operations, or how that's handled. That information I could not find. Okay, now the installation instructions on this. First thing you do is you go through and inspect the mine. You're looking for cracks, you're looking for corrosion, you're looking for evidence that water has gotten inside to damage the electronics internally. These are plastic cased mines from what I could come across. If it passes the inspection, on the side of the mine, right here you can see it, there is a plug. You use a screwdriver type tool to remove that plug, and you install what looks like a D-cell battery. Now, from what I could find for information, it says the nomenclature of the battery is a DM19. I tried to find out, is the DM19 battery the same as an American D-cell battery, but I could not find out any information on that. The only thing I did find out is that German batteries and American batteries have different voltages. And if you put an American battery inside German electronics, if those electronics are not designed to handle the American battery, it puts too much power into the electronics and can fry it out right away. So, but the battery, from the pictures I've seen, the schematics I looked at, its general size, it looks like it's along the lines of a D-cell battery. My guess would be, because this is NATO standard, that it probably will be a standard D-cell battery, but I can't be 100% certain on that. After you put the battery in, and it looks like it goes positive terminals in first, then you put the plug back in place, and then the mine will go inside that giant shipping cage, 90 mines to the cage. The mines get transported to the location where the mine field is going to go in. Once it is there, it is passed out of that cage to the soldier down on the ground. He places it where it's supposed to go. If he's supposed to bury it, he puts the hole in the ground, puts the mine inside the hole, and then continues on. If it's surface laid, he sets it down and he prepares for the next step. Now what he does, he will first remove the safety clip. You can see it here also on the end of the lanyard, which keeps someone from pressing down on the arming button. You pull that clip out. You then turn the arming lever. Right now it's in safe. You turn it, you press down on the button, turn the arming lever over to F. The arming lever should stay in position, and then you release the arming button. Now at that point, a countdown starts inside the mine, and after 10 minutes that mine is now active. The magnetic sensor inside that mine is active. There is a note that once the mine has been flipped over to F, it's armed. No metal should be allowed within 3 meters of the mine because it could potentially set the mine off. Now, once it is active, the mine will self-neutralize at approximately 38 to 42 days, but there is a note that it can go a max of 180 days. Why is there so much of a difference? I don't know. That's just what I came across in the notes. Now, once that battery has gone down to the point where it's too low to set the mine off, you see there's a little window or something here on top. That's a little plug. That comes flying off, and I'm not joking on this, it deploys a spring with a big red plug on top. When it deploys that red little marker flag, the electronics inside the mine self-neutralize. They fry themselves out, and the mine is no longer armed. For some reason, someone thought it was a good idea to have this big visual indicator come popping up out the top of the mine like an erection once its battery wore down, to let you know that, hey, I'm no longer active and I'm hidden right here. Supposedly it's to allow for quicker self-recovery by showing you where the mine is located when you pull it out. Now, once that happens, the mine must be returned to a depot to open the mine, where the maintenance personnel will literally tear the mine apart and replace the electronics inside, reset the stupid little marker flag, and then the mine can be reused. These mines cannot be reset by the soldier in the field. Why that is, I have no idea. It makes no sense. Now I'm going to explain here quick before I move on for removal how magnetic fuses work, because this is something that scares every engineer. They don't really understand how this works, and it took me a long time before I found out how this is. Okay, with magnetic influence mines, you have the sensor is constantly active. It is working at a lower voltage, and it is trying to detect any magnetic or ferrous material around it. Now, according to the information with this mine, it looks like that sensor reaches out about 3 meters around the mine. Think of it like a giant semicircle. So, most of the time, it's not picking up anything. When something approaches, that's when the sensor starts taking note that, hey, there's metal nearby. Now, if not enough metal gets near the mine, it will not arm and detonate. It will just let itself go back into its normal mode. Every magnetic fuse has a preset limit of what it's supposed to watch for. If the magnetic influence does not get to that point, the mine will not activate. Now, let's say a vehicle travels over the top or next to the mine. So we're picking up the influence. It gets up to that level. It's now arming itself, saying, hey, there's a target near me. There's another level above that. Another sensitivity level. Once that sensitivity gets up to a certain point, like the example, a tank is directly over the top of the mine. Once it gets to that point, that's when the mine will detonate. Now, what if it doesn't get to that point? How it works, it detects the metal passing over. It's gotten to the arm point. It's going up. It doesn't make it to this second sensitivity level. Once it starts going back down, which tells the mine that the target is over the mine, but it's now passing out of range. Once it starts going down, it starts slacking off on sensitivity, the mine will detonate. So you have two set points for that fuse. You have the minimum, letting you know there's a target over the mine or right next to it. You had the maximum that says, hey, the target is directly over the top of me. And if there isn't enough metal to reach that target, as long as it reaches that first level, once it gets to its maximum and it starts to slack off, it will then detonate at that point. Now there's a huge misconception, and it was the same for us when we were dealing with magnetic mines. There's a huge misconception that even the metal in your boots or the metal in your watch will set off a magnetic mine. Most mines are not set to be that sensitive. They are set for a specific amount of metal to be within a certain proximity of the mine before it will detonate. So it may not go off if you're walking past it and carrying a rifle, but maybe it'll go off if you're walking past it carrying a M60 machine gun or a PKM. That might have enough ferrous, iron-based metal to affect the magnetic fuse. Now, officially, according to doctrine, from what I could find, this mine is not supposed to be removed before it has reached the end of its battery life and deployed the marker flag. That big red dildo flopping back and forth in the wind. However, there is a theory from Russian engineers in Ukraine, because Germany sent 3,000 of these mines to Ukraine. There is a theory, but no one has admitted trying this yet. A theory that the deminer who comes across these mines removes all metal or most metal from his body. Okay, so we just have basic body armor. If he's got some type of plates, it's just ceramic plates. There's no steel plates in it. Leaves his rifle behind, his gear and that stuff. He's stripped down to the minimum. Approaches the mine. Uses a non-ferrous tool, a non-sparking tool, a non-steel based tool to unscrew the cap from the side of the mine and remove the battery. Once the battery has been removed, the mine should self-neutralize on its own. But this is not official according to doctrine. No one can say if this will work or not, and no one wants to be the guinea pig to try it out. But that is a theory on how you could potentially neutralize these mines before it neutralizes itself. So there you go. That's all the info I could find for you on the German DM31 heavy anti-tank mine. Because these were sent to Ukraine by the German government, knowing what we know about the black market out of Ukraine, it is extremely likely that a huge numbers of these are on the international arms black market, and that is why I'm covering this mine, because these things had the tendency to pop up anywhere in the world now. Now, for all my engineer brothers and the Patriot militia movements, always remember, essayons.